You're listening to Intuitive Style, where we believe that everyone has style. I'm Maureen Welton. In conversation with fantastic guests, we explore how to tap into our style intuition so that we can dress authentically and live fully. Today's guest is personal stylist, Canadian in Paris, and extremely generous, cool girl, Irene Kim. Irene is an OG in the fashion Substack world with iconic reads starting back in 2023, such as the 5 questions she asks herself when shopping. Since then, she's continued to share glimpses into her real life, including how she styles herself for events ranging from glamorous photo shoots at the Musée Rodin to school drop-off. Though through it all, she manages to stay real and aspirational. Irene, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me, Maureen. So lovely to be here and meet you.
Likewise. So, looking through your archive, it's very clear to me that you are an extremely creative dresser, fearlessly turning lace napkins into a mini skirt or hacking a brooch and a shoelace into a bolo tie, and even layering windbreakers under blazers, which is recent. I love that one. Um, Trying imaginative combinations can be really daunting. Personally, I can feel fear looking silly or too crafty. How do you know when some creative combination that you have matches your taste level?
Ooh, that is such a tough question. Because
Sorry.
the answer is really, it just feels right. I'll just know when that's too much, or that's too slim, or that's too baggy, or that's too much color, or the eyes moving too many places. So if I had to really break it down, and I think I have done that in a Substack,
Mm,
what's going there are like just the checklists. It's like an automatic checklist going down
mm,
of, okay,
yeah.
that proportion doesn't work there, or that's a little too slim there, or like, that's too much nylon and not enough natural fabric. You know what I mean? It just keeps going
Mm-hmm.
and going. So it's sort of, after all this time, has come a bit automatic to me what
Yeah.
level is okay. And I actually want to say, because I'm not saying that what I find okay to me is okay, should be okay for everyone,
Mm,
because there's people out there whose style I admire that I'm just like, if I put that on, I would be like, this is way, way too much. But it's so clearly their baseline and they're so clearly rocking it that I'm like, all power to them. They're obviously, their checkpoints are different than mine, right? So,
I think one of the things I heard in what you said is, or your answer is that um it's become automatic, but that doesn't mean that it was always automatic. This idea of knowing what was your level of comfort or how far to go. Does that feel correct?
mm, oh gosh, would that feel correct? Because I'm trying to bring myself back to when I was like in my teens and I did so much experimenting then.
Uh-huh.
Um, and no, I still think I had it then. I just have different materials now, you know?
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, I think a lot of experimentation, it was at that time, and even now, is born out of creative drive, yes, but also necessity, right? Because I don't know what's going on with kids these days, but when I was younger, like, if I got a shirt from Gap, like, that was like Christmas, you know? Like,
Mhm.
it wasn't, there was nothing fancy about what we were buying. So it was a lot of, I went thrifting and I just put stuff together in all these different ways. And I've already lost track of your original question. Has it always been there or has it evolved? Um, I guess it's refined itself over time. Um, it's just different than when I was younger, I guess, because I loved my outfits then too. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense because you were still getting dressed back then, presumably. So if we have
Yeah.
to have a calibration of good enough to leave the house, you know what I mean? So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Oh, the thesis of this podcast is that we make better style decisions when we listen to our intuition. So, what role does
Mhm.
intuition play in your life or your personal style?
Right. So I just feel like when I get dressed and I try to look like the people that I admire for their clear aesthetic, their like very clear look, I just never feel right. It just never feels right to me. And ultimately, I go back to kind of the basics that I always love to wear, um, no matter what. And sometimes, I look at some of my everyday outfits because I feel like your everyday outfits are kind of like that's the core, like, that's who you are in a way. Sometimes I think, "Oh, you know what? What if I made my everyday outfits a little bit more directional and made it more like this designer or that designer?" But that's just not me. Like, every time there is a little I kind of lean back a little bit into prep, androgyny. That's always gonna have some sort of base that in how I dress. So I just can't move away from that, and there's no point in trying. I'm always gonna go back that way. Yeah.
That's that's amazing, and I totally get that. Like, I think what I heard from that is we can't force ourselves to have a personal style that's different from what we want to wear on our bodies. Like, we can have uh we can have aesthetic preferences that we like as in theory, but we can't force those to actually work for our everyday life or what we choose to wear. Is that kind of right?
Yeah, no, that's exactly right, and far more articulate than I
No,
said it,
no.
so
Nothing like that. No, I mean, I get it. I've been trying
yeah.
to, like, force myself to be this, like, to and I don't mean it to sound so strong, but I was really intrigued by, like, Simone Rocha and super inspired by, like, sheer volume and, like, there are definitely ways that I can still incorporate it, but, like, it had this vision this summer of, like, just totally transforming my style in this totally new direction and, like, wearing more black, and then I go into stores and I try on, like, black bag with my outfit that I like the rest of, and I'm like, "Oh, it's still not me, is it?" So, I get that.
But the thing is though, like, the beauty about clothes is that you can wear that, right? Like, for a day, a week, whatever. Um, I kind of it reminds me of actually, when I started, getting a bit more traction on social media, and I was thinking like, "Oh, maybe I should start, publishing things that are a bit more polished and produced," because, like, mine isn't at all. And I just thought, how long am I able to keep that up? And I
Mm,
realized I could keep that up for like a week tops. I could do like one polished, produced post and then I'd call it a day because it's just not me. And
mm,
so for me to have to put in that mental effort truly to dress in a way that's not comfortable to me day in and day out, apart from your occasional event or like your fun dress up thing, it's not gonna happen.
yeah,
Yeah.
great analogy. I get it. As a fellow writer, the polished stuff is hard to achieve. One of your early posts about questions to ask yourself when considering making a new purchase, you ask,
Mhm,
"Does the garment take you places in your imagination?" Can you so my
mhm.
question to you is, can you think of any garments that you've bought that take you somewhere in your imagination?
Oh,
Um
I have so many. So many. However, do I wear those every day? No.
Mm,
Do I wear those every day? No. But I have a lot. Yeah, for sure. Just like you were talking about the Simone Rocha piece, um, yeah, I love getting dressed, but how am I gonna if I'm gonna buy it I mean, that's the part of the 5 questions I ask myself when shopping. there is a love component, of course, to everything, but then, of course, there's the need component, and then there's, "Can I actually afford it?" There's, like, practicalities of
Mhm.
actually shopping. So, yeah, my whole closet isn't filled with that, but certainly there's some there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what about your, like, purple skirt that's kinda like is it sheer? It's like a lilac.
Oh, the Cecily Bonson skirt?
Sure, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
is it,
that
like,
feels like a
giant?
piece. I think it's beautiful. That piece
Yeah.
feels like one that would take me somewhere in my imagination. Does it do the same for you?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you were mentioning Simone, like, Simone and Cecily are very similar in terms of aesthetic, and
Yeah.
I love that ethereal vibe, and even though this is how I rock out in the world every day, I can absolutely throw that on with this sweater and it'll still
Mhm.
work, right? And so
Yeah.
that's ways that I can bring that kind of beauty into my life. Um, and there are, again, other people who are able to do that every day. I just can't. It's just not
Yeah,
practical for
yeah.
my lifestyle. So, yeah. Yeah.
So, when I think about that skirt, like, I'm transported to, like, a woodland meadow with, like,
Mhm.
dappled sunlight traveling through the treetops. Where does it take you?
Mm. Okay, so basically, my friend who is a photographer, she has photographed me for various things, family things, other things. And she knows, like, my favorite scene is like carelessly just running through golden fields of grass. Like,
Oh,
that is
man.
like freedom to me. I don't know what it is. It's just warm. It could even be fall, it could even be misty, but just bouncing through grass, just wide open. That's like when I think of
Wow.
happiness, that's what I think of. So,
Wow. I could see that
yeah.
skirt doing well in a field.
Right, right. I'm sure
It's
they've had plenty of Cecily, photo shoots in fields like that, like really moody fields, so
incredible. Maybe with some muck boots.
exactly, exactly.
We started to talk a little bit about how you decide to buy what to buy and where with cost and love and need, etc.
Mhm.
So can you think of any recent purchases that you made or even broader than that, a little bit more how you decide what not to buy or where?
So I kind of categorize this into 2 groups just because I am a stylist and I work with, like, a really large range of people. So there's people like me who have really mature closets, and I would have different guidelines for me than I would for somebody literally starting from scratch. To have such a high bar for somebody who has no clothes is like just too much extra pressure, I think, on a lot of people. So when people are like, "Oh, you should be buying secondhand," or "This costs too much," or like, "No, you should only buy the best you can afford." Like people just can't take it. Like just get them dressed. Like really, that's what they need. Where
Yeah.
somebody like me, the bar is really high because I really have everything I need or most things I need anyway. So yeah, I mean, right now it really is. There can't be a single reason why I don't wanna wear it. Literally, like, if the thing falls a little funny or like, it's just an automatic no. It has to really pass all these tests. Like, I have to love the color, I have to love how it feels on my skin, I have to love the cut, I love have to how it looks on my body, it has to be the right price, etcetera, etcetera. So, um, that's a high bar for me. For a client that has no clothes in their closet, I'm not gonna be like, "Okay, you cannot buy a single pair of pants until it's perfect." Like, that's not
Yeah.
sensible. So, yeah.
That's very healing for me to hear because,
Oh,
like,
okay.
last year, I had to basically repurchase a lot of my clothes, not even
Mhm.
just last year, but, like, anyway, I had totally to change my body changed, and so I had to rebuy my clothes, and Man, there is
Mhm.
so much pressure in the, and if you're involved in the fashion space, I personally felt like there was so much pressure to buy the right way, the perfect way, and I just needed
Mhm.
clothes that I could wear to, like,
You
go for
just need
walks.
clothes to feel good in.
And I just remember, like, just feeling so, so frustrated by this, like, narrative that there's only one right way to shop, and I just appreciate the way you just delineated, like, yes, for a certain subset of people, it's really important and good to have high standards, but if you are, in the midst of what is arguably probably outside of the clothing, if you have no clothes to wear, there's probably something else going on in your life that is already
Totally.
hard. And so trying to
Mhm.
put the pressure of doing it like perfectly on top of that, yeah, I just appreciate you saying that because I could have heard it a year
Yeah,
and
I
a half
think
ago.
well, I'm telling you now. I think it's really hard because I always not always, but I really bite my tongue a lot of times when I read things on Substack or social media because it's people only have, like, one line to get their point across and to capture people's
Mm.
attention, so obviously it lacks a lot of nuance. Um, but yeah, it just I've done this for, like, 15 years, and I work with just normal people, right? So I know the huge chasm of life experience. There's a big spread of what's going on in people's lives. I read something the other day and somebody wrote like, "Who's buying Aritzia coats when you can buy them on Poshmark for this and this?" And I was like, totally respectfully, I get your point, but, like, there's people who don't have time to shop, people who don't know that secondhand is an option, people who know it's an option but don't know where to look, there's people who don't fit into Aritzia. There's a million people who don't fit into what is on its face a very it's a reasonable thing to say, but, yeah, underneath it all, it's quite nuanced, so
Yeah. Can be well intentioned, but I think sometimes we need to, yeah, take those things with a grain of salt.
Yeah, for
S-
sure.
You had mentioned, when you're thinking about a new item, if it falls a little bit strangely, that would be a reason that you're like, okay, there's no reason I need to buy this. But what
Yeah.
about like body awareness or how things fit, or the way that different textures lay, things like that? How does your the feeling of clothing, rather than necessarily what you see in the mirror, how does the feeling impact what you decide to buy or wear?
100% now. I mean, I would have let that go 10 years ago. Frankly, I would have let that go like 3 years ago. No, 5, but I can't take it anymore.
Mm.
If it's itchy or like there's a certain type of polyester that I just like makes my skin crawl. I can't wear it. I don't want to. And I can afford to be that picky at this stage, right? Um, Again, if you're somebody who doesn't have um, any clothes in their closet, you might be less picky. But even at that stage and price point, I probably could find you something that feels better on your body than something that you really hate. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
And what changed for you going from, being willing to put up with it to not?
What changed for me? Let me think. This was like maybe 5 years ago. Most of the stuff I'm referring to was like, Zara, fast fashion stuff. I didn't buy a ton of it to begin with, but I just started getting pickier, I guess. Um, when that happens for people changes, and I think, um, my client base tends to start at 35. It is occasionally I'll get kids actually with their parents come in, teenagers or 20-year-olds. It's mostly at 35. But in your 20s, that's when you're experimenting with stuff. And so you're not thinking necessary that the on the top priority isn't, oh, it feels great. Like you want the look, you want the style. But it just I think pretty standard across the board that as you get a bit older, that
Yeah.
these things start to matter more. Yeah.
I
No big
think
life change other than that.
I think I started a little young on that. I've always been, like, hypersensitive to how the clothing feels on my body, and I've always
Mhm.
always questioned, like, "How do people put up with this?" Like, I don't get it. I'm 30 now. I've never had the threshold to be, like, able to wear something uncomfortable, but that's just me.
Like, what do you mean uncomfortable, like fabric, or comfortable, like, sitting on your body?
Mostly
Because that's
fabric.
different, like okay, yeah, okay.
I'm a highly sensitive person. It is,
Right.
my burden to bear. Um,
Yeah.
but I get it. Um, what is exciting you in fashion right now? Or in style, it doesn't have to be in
Oh,
fashion.
it's funny, I think I think I may have written that nothing has really excited me in a while. Um, I'm not even old, I'm only 45, but I've been around enough to see a lot. I've seen, like, 3-ish good decades of fashion and cycles, and so right now, nothing feels super new to me, um, but that doesn't mean it's not exciting, it's just still fun to get dressed. Right now, I am cannot keep up with the external stimulation and new input because I'm in a new city, and that, like,
Yeah.
it's, like, too much, like, I can't handle it. It's in a good way. So, I'm still trying to process the fact that, okay, I've moved to Paris. There's just so much for me to process and understand, and so that's what's exciting me.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
What is the
Okay.
most yeah, what what do you like when you go to bed at night? What are you looking forward to in the morning of being able to do in Paris that you weren't able to do in Canada?
Okay, so, like, not to disappoint, because my friend called me and was like, "Oh my god, your kids get home at 5, and that still leaves some time for you guys to do some sightseeing." I'm like, "Listen, when
Yeah,
my
not
kids
in the
get home."
winter.
No, I mean, no, I'm still living a normal life. I still have a husband and kids who go to school and, like, so it's it's still like, I'm still working through the day, try to get a workout in, then the kids come home, and then I'm doing homework, and then I'm preparing dinner, and so it's still very much for anybody who has FOMO, I'm just in a different location. But, um, obviously, there is a lot more access to fashion. The people dress differently here. I'm constantly staring at what people are wearing, how people are wearing it, people's relationship to fashion. Um, Brands that I can't see at home. I'm trying to discover them here. The huge vintage sort of ecosystem that they have. Like I can't stop like every single day I'm trying to find something new. So I mean, I've only been here for since the start of the school year, so that's like 3 and a it's like there's not even I haven't even, like, like,
Totally.
nicked the surface, right? So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that already just sounds exciting, just having a whole new playing field to engage with, even if it's only in slivers of the day. What advice would you give to someone trying to build a wardrobe that feels intuitive and authentic to them?
So I usually start people off with a foundational wardrobe, and those are, like, the core pieces that you reach for, every day that you feel good and you can make an outfit with. Because I find a lot of people, they get all of these like incredible pieces or these pieces that they love, but it makes no sense when you try to put it together. And what those pieces are, they're always going to be, unless you really love dresses, like they're always going to be like 4 or 5 pants, right? There's always going to be like 12 to 20 tops. But what though the shape of those are, the color of those are, the style of those are, That's what's where your intuitive style comes in, right? So, again, I'm generalizing because not everyone wears jeans, but let's say most people wear jeans. Some people will reach for a skinny straight jean all the time. Like, that will be the backbone of the outfit. That will never be me. You will not see a skinny straight jean in my wardrobe. I will always have some sort of barrel pant shape, um, not even jean, in my wardrobe that I would reach for before that, right? So that becomes my foundational bottom because I feel good in it. That feels comfortable to me. So when you're building your foundational wardrobe, when I'm building it with somebody, I really make sure I like take a temperature check of how they feel about this piece, right? Because I'm not going to say, okay, ideally you have bottoms that are sort of different shapes. Some are jeans, some are pants, some are this. But I'm not going to dictate what they are without like substantial input from you. If you tell me something that I feel like is not going to be a very practical or versatile or functional, I will tell you. But generally speaking, people know what's going on. So I trust them to tell me. So yeah.
Yeah. So start with the foundation. I love your
Yeah.
post on that, by the way. I unlocked your
Thank
membership
you.
or your newsletter for it. um,
Thank you.
and then I know you have an idea of the additional layer on top of that. Can you talk about that really quickly? It's like
I'm not sure
the
what.
s- I think you have a post on like adding in like statement pieces.
Oh yeah. So I mean, it, once you have your foundation, right? And the foundation, I think I put in there that was like 40-ish pieces. It could be 20, it could be 60. Like
Mhm.
nobody's limiting you. But I think my point there was that I have those like Cecily Bonson skirts and the yellow ruffled sleeveless sash top and like all these crazy things. And I think what I was talking to you about before about the 5 questions, like, do I love them?
Mhm.
And I have to ask myself those questions. Do I truly fully love it? Does it take me places? Um, do I need it? Less so for statement pieces. Can I afford it? Is it a reasonable purchase? Right? So sometimes I think like I always go back to the Ray coat example, but like, is it like something I might love it, I might need it, I could technically afford it, but, like, does it make sense for me to buy it? Like, does it make sense for me to buy a $3,000 coat when I can get something kind of similar for, like, 400? Like, for me, the
Yeah.
answer would be no. For some other people, the answer would be yes. That's very much a personal call, so, yeah.
Yeah. Totally. So those questions that you have about like needing, loving, wanting, that's are those more geared towards those statement pieces and then the questions that you have for the foundations are a little bit different? Or am I misunderstanding?
No, it's totally the same. I think I
Mm,
actually wrote in the love, I actually subdivided it to people like me who really, really need to keep the bar high, whereas people who are building a wardrobe, I said, like, don't kill yourself if you don't love a basic gray sweater. Like, just make sure there's not something wrong with it. Like, in the sense that you don't like how it feels on your body or you don't like how it falls. You don't have to love a basic gray sweater. It is a basic piece. So, yeah. But the rest of it applies. Do you need it? Is it functional for your lifestyle? Can you afford it? Et cetera, et
yeah,
cetera.
yeah, yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah. Mhm.
Have you ever had a moment where what you wore transformed how you felt in your body, either positively or negatively? And what did that teach you?
Um, well, there's a few positive things, I guess. I remember putting on a sari once,
Mm,
and I felt like I don't know if you know a sari, they have this like blues or chemise, and it's like super tight and it forces your shoulders back like this. And I was like, oh my God, like I don't think I've ever walked with this such good posture in my life, and it
Oh.
just made me realize, like, we're all walking like this everywhere. Um, and I remember once after a month after I gave or sorry, a year after I gave birth to my 2nd son, I, was in a bikini in, like, Barbados, and I had, like, the softest, like, belly ever still because I was eating chips, ice cream, and wine every single night a year after pregnancy, and I remember feeling, like, really liberated that I, like, posted this picture online, like, I wasn't, like I just didn't care. I was like, "I made this baby, and this feels great." So, that was nice. That was nice. That didn't last forever, for sure. But, yeah.
What part didn't last?
Being, self-conscious in a bikini.
Mm. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I have never, ever been able to wear one in public. Like, it is so painful for me to do it.
yeah.
So, yeah.
I don't like it either. I never understand, when folks say, like, to younger people, like, "Just wear the bikini," and I'm like, "Well, okay." I just it just takes me out of the moment. It doesn't make me feel present. It makes me feel in my head, and I'm like, Why do I have to wear the bikini?"
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean?
You know, I'm kind of so, I'm from Korea where when you go to the beach, like, literally everyone is covered
Mm,
fully and in sun protective gear, but I think part of it is modesty, and of course, like, if you go away to somewhere like I've been on beaches in, say, Malaysia, where literally women are fully covered in the water. But here in France and Europe, like, it always amazes me. You could be 90 years old and completely your skin is hanging everywhere. Like, you could be a 50-year-old mom and, like, in full menopause bloat, and they're all wearing bikinis. Like, nobody is blinking twice about it. So, I it's gotta be something in how they were raised to feel like that is okay and acceptable as it is, whereas for some of us, it's
yeah.
extremely hard to do it. So, yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit more. Like, what is your context that you grew up in that and how did that influence the way that you view what is normal or okay for dressing?
So I'm trying to think. So I think I grew up with parents, or my mother in particular, she loved fashion. She was extremely stylish. She grew up in Korea in the 60s and 70s, and she was an airline stewardess for Korean Airlines. So back then, that was quite a glamorous job. And like she could go to Paris and she can go to Europe, which back then, again, South Korea was quite a poor country. Like that was quite a luxury to be able to do that. So that definitely influenced what I saw growing up in my household. The flip side of that is that Koreans are very hard. I'm sure everybody knows, like, you've gone down that TikTok rabbit hole where they do a lot of plastic surgery. They're extremely thin, naturally. So I also grew up being told, not necessarily by family, but even friends or like relatives or just random strangers, like, "Oh, you're just too big." Like, I mean,
Mm.
all the time. So that, I mean, I think by the time I was in my teens and my early 20s, I mean, I hated going back to Korea because I knew that that was coming. So I think that did take quite a toll on my self esteem for sure and
Yeah.
how I viewed my body.
Yeah, it sounds like a culture
Mhm.
of, like, policing other people's appearance, where other people's appearance is something that is okay to comment on?
Oh, it's 100% okay to comment on. There's not even there's no question about I'm literally talking about I would answer the door and, like, some of my aunt's friends or, like, the housekeeper would just be like, "Oh, it's time for your eyelid surgery." Like, "Oh, if you lost 20 pounds, it's you can go for Miss Korea, like, it was just full on,
Wow.
like,
Hmm.
yeah, so I'm not exaggerating, and my
No, I
family's not
believe
even
you.
bad because like, they did not even push me to get surgery, like, my immediate family never even
Yeah.
uttered the word to go get it, but for everyone around me, it's quite normal.
Wow.
Some parents I have parents who friends with parents who, basically send their kids to Korea and say, like, "If you don't get this, you can't come home." Like, it is such a it's so ingrained in our mentality, in our culture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds really hard because
I know, you're
what
just
is
like, "Well, it sounds
uh,
crazy."
uh,
When I hear myself and I say it to you who's not in the culture, I'm like, "Oh my god, that actually sounds crazy." Like, that sounds crazy.
mm.
But, yeah, I guess I've normalized it internally.
Well, what I will say is like every culture has their version of crazy, and I think what's always hard about that kind of stuff is like it's these rules around what social connection can and should look like. Like it wouldn't
Mhm.
matter it the reason that it's painful is that these rules of conduct prevent connection. Like you have to do this thing in order in order to like come back and be in relationship with us. Like that's what makes it so hard is like it's not just about what it means for us physically, but it's about how it impacts like every aspect of our position in society and on our families.
Mhm.
So,
And to be fair, to your point, I mean, sure, a lot of it is people just wanna be beautiful, um, and they place a lot of value on looks, but I my theory is that there's such a push because of how important marriage is or was in Korea. I mean, we now have the lowest birth rate in the world because nobody wants to put up with that BS anymore, but I think it was so concentrated in my late teens to, like, my mid-20s because that was, like, the prime year. Those were the prime years where I would find a man and make sure I was taken care of, like, they were sort of taking care of me to make sure that I was doing the right things for myself, so I would get married, and
wow.
literally, like, as soon as, I got engaged, like, no nothing, nobody talks to me about it anymore, starting at, like, late 20s something, 28.
Whoa.
Nobody cares. You're getting married, we've done our job, that's
Whoa.
it. Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. Does seeing it that way
Yeah,
make it
that's
more
my
or less
theory anyway.
painful? I mean, I believe you. I believe you.
Mhm.
Does seeing it that way make it more or less painful?
I mean, I understand because I think about, our history as a country and our society and how important getting married is and to establishing social standing, social credit, whatever. So I can see why that would be so pushed by so many parents and families of their young girls. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Sounds hard though.
Mm.
And also, it is interesting what you're saying about like the standards aren't there's no like universal standard. Like I imagine that a size 8, 10 in Korea is viewed differently than a size 8, 10 in America where um you know what I'm saying? Like there's no universal correct size. Um and I think that that always helps me personally to be like, "Oh, this is all subjective anyway." But
I mean, you could say that, except they kind of do. Like everyone sort of whispers what the correct goal weight is. But also the facts were that, let's say 2002 is when I first remember it, but it could have continued to later. But in 2002, I could not find anything larger than a size 6 in stores. It was like
mm,
impossible. Impossible. So at that time, I think I was about a size 8 or 10, so I was in, like, the flea markets where, I was buying stretchy jeans and things like that, so I'm sure the size ranges have, um, increased in that time, but yeah, that's sort of if you were outside of that, you were out of the norm enough that they didn't they didn't cater to the stores.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
All I meant is,
yeah.
like, the cutoff point here in the States would be, like, depending on the brand, what we call the extra large, the 12, the 14, versus a
Mhm,
6. That's the comparison I was trying to make is, like, the cutoff point is different.
mhm,
I'm not saying
mhm.
that either one is, like, okay or one is better, but mostly just that the inherent subjectivity of where that cutoff point is reminds me that,
Mhm.
oh, it's all BS. Like,
Yeah.
that doesn't determine what size people's bodies actually are. It's just this idea of what they could or should be is subjective.
Mhm. Mhm.
But,
Yeah. This is
um,
this is way more emotional energy than I thought I would be spending in this interview because it's, like, bringing up all of these memories.
oh, yeah,
In a good way, in a great way.
oh, okay, okay, I was gonna say we don't have to go there, it's all good.
No, 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 no. I'm totally open to chatting about this stuff, yeah. Totally open to it.
And I think, moving into I have one last question, which I think should be more fun. So, how would you define your current relationship to clothes and style? What kind of phase are you in?
Mm, so I would say for the last 2 years, I was sort of in this, like, not non-experimental phase, but, like, I didn't really wanna buy anything, I didn't wanna add anything, I wasn't looking to change my style, um, and now that I'm here, um, there's so much new inspiration that I can't help it, but at the same time, I still think I'm in that phase where I'm kinda like, I'm making the changes that I need to make because I
Mm,
can't wear jogging pants here, or, like, I generally need to sort of be a little bit more polished here than I am back at home. But other than that, I'm still in the I have enough clothes. I don't need to be spending Black Friday shopping for myself, shopping for clients, yes. Um, and yeah, I'm still sometimes I have FOMO about it because, like, I was looking at the Net-a-Porter sale and I was thinking, "Oh god, that is just so chic." And then I'm like, "Do I really need that? I know,
mm,
I'm fine," you know? And I keep going to that, or yeah, so that's where I'm at. When I see that really cool influencer and she's wearing that, I'm like, "Oh, I wish I had that aesthetic," and I'm like, "Ugh, no, I'm good. I'm good." So, that's where I'm at. I'm just happy where I am, basically.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you get to live vicariously through your clients?
Um, yeah, yeah. I think part of there's something interesting, how people say that you can tell somebody's job at Fashion Week by how they're dressed, and a lot of the
Mm,
people that aren't influencers, who are like buyers or whatever, like, they're just kinda dressed normally, but just very chic, right? Because we spend all day in fashion, looking at fashion, buying fashion, that sometimes we just don't have the brain power to spend it, like, styling all day long. We just wanna dress in a way that feels good to us and comfortable and yeah. So
I get that.
Mhm.
Well, thank you, Irene. This was amazing. Where can listeners find you?
Well, I guess you can find me on Substack. It's irenekim.substack.com and on Instagram at Irene_KF.
Fantastic, and I will make sure that both of those are linked in the show notes. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Maureen. I had such a great time.
I had a great time getting to know you. Well, thank you. Intuitive Style is produced, edited, and hosted by me, Maureen Walton. Our theme music is by Tim Reed and Jacob Walton. In case you missed it, Intuitive Style, the podcast, is an offshoot of Intuitive Style, the newsletter. Head on over to Substack, search Intuitive Style to read the newsletter, which covers reflections on what's happening in personal style world, guest features, and the encouragement that there is no right way to get dressed. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to rate and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Share this episode with someone you think might enjoy it. Don't forget to subscribe as new episodes drop weekly on Fridays. Thanks. See you next week.